The summer of 2022 was supposed to be about moving forward. I was packing up my life in Pennsylvania and driving down to start a new job in Dallas. I was alone, driving a fully packed U-Haul towing my little Honda Civic behind it, a ridiculously slow and noisy setup. I decided to cut through Kentucky late on a Tuesday night to save time. I was using a mapping app that preferred the shortest route, which often meant kicking me off the big interstates onto these narrow state highways. Around 11:30 p.m., the app directed me onto what I later learned was a local legend, a stretch of two-lane blacktop known only as the Dead Man's Curve, connecting two tiny towns that seemed determined to stay off the map. The road was terrible. It twisted sharply through the hills, lined on both sides by dense, sickly-looking scrub trees. There were no lights, and the U-Haul's high beams barely cut through the oppressive darkness. I was crawling along at about 35 miles per hour, stressed out and tired when I saw the sign. It was an old, faded, reflective sign, tilted dangerously on its post. Accident black spot. Drive with caution. Immediately after the sign, the road dipped into a deep, sharp S-curve. As I navigated the first tight bend, my headlights swept across a disturbing scene. There was an old, splintered wooden cross jammed into the embankment, covered in faded plastic flowers. Next to it, someone had left a single, child's tricycle, rusted and half-buried in the dirt. It was just one of those depressing roadside memorials, but it gave the place an instant feeling of tragedy. As I took the second turn of the S-curve, something happened that made my entire body tense up. The U-Haul, which had been grinding along loudly, suddenly became silent. Not the engine, the cabin. The radio, which had been playing some old rock station, cut out instantly. The air conditioning, which had been wheezing, stopped blowing, and the loud, metallic clatter of the Honda Civic being dragged behind me, that noise vanished completely. It was replaced by a total, unnatural silence. The only sound was the distant whoosh of my tires on the pavement. I glanced back nervously into the side mirror. The Honda was still there, looking dim and spectral in the limited light. Then I heard a new sound. It wasn't loud, but it was insistent. It sounded like someone was tapping their fingernails very quickly and softly on the glass of the passenger side window. Tap, 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 tap. I immediately swerved slightly away from the sound, pressing myself against my driver's side door. I squeezed my eyes shut for a second, then snapped them open, staring into the passenger side. I saw nothing. Just the dark glass reflecting the feeble light of the dash. I told myself it was gravel or a tree branch or my exhausted mind making things up. I pressed the gas, desperate to get through this curve. As the U-Haul started to pick up speed, the tapping started again. But this time, it was louder, faster, and accompanied by a distinct, heavy thump on the roof, right above my head. And then I heard the whisper. It was thin and high-pitched, right next to my ear, like someone was trying to speak through a thick sheet of cling film. "Where are you going?" I screamed, a high panic sound, and jammed my foot down on the gas pedal. The U-Haul roared to life, the loud mechanical clatter of the Honda returning instantly, the radio snapping back on mid-song, and the AC kicking in with a blast of warm air. The sudden return of all the normal mechanical noise was almost as shocking as the silence had been. I took the next corner way too fast, the truck swaying precariously, and I didn't slow down for the next 10 minutes, not until the road straightened out and I saw the lights of a gas station in the distance. I pulled into the parking lot, my hands shaking so badly I could barely turn the key. I killed the engine and just sat there, trying to catch my breath. After a few minutes, I finally managed to get out and start checking the truck. I had to know if something had actually been on the vehicle. I walked around the cab, running my hand over the roof, but found nothing. I got to the passenger side, still shaken, and ran my hand along the window glass. When I got to the top edge, My fingers snagged on something small and thin. I pulled it off. It was a lock of hair, blonde, fine, and damp, clearly not mine. And wrapped tightly around the strands of hair was a small, grimy strip of faded, bright yellow fabric. It looked like a piece of an old child's bathing suit or maybe a small ribbon. I threw the hair and fabric onto the pavement and practically sprinted inside the gas station. I asked the elderly cashier what the local name for that road was. "Oh, that's Dead Man's Curve," she said, not looking up from her magazine. "Terrible spot. Nearly 30 years ago, there was a bad one. Young family went over the embankment, drove right into a creek down there. The father was thrown clear, but they never recovered the little girl's body, just found her tricycle a ways up the hill." I couldn't speak. I looked back at my truck, thinking of the rusted tricycle by the roadside and the tiny, frantic tapping on my window. I knew exactly where the fabric came from. I bought a huge cup of coffee, locked myself back in the U-Haul, and waited until the sun was fully up before I drove another inch. I never went back to that stretch of road, and I still don't know why the car went silent or what exactly was asking me where I was going. But I have nightmares about that frantic tapping, always wondering if it wanted a ride or just wanted to stop me from moving forward.